I'm Brett Henkel. This is my story. I had always been athletic but had grown incredibly in the last year. I had not only improved physically but also academically. Life was great.
So a staph infection is an infection caused by a bacteria called Staphylococcus aureus. And that's a bacteria that normally lives on people's skin, and it causes infections when it gets past our skin.
On Saturday, I came under great pain and was rushed to the emergency room at Kaiser Roseville. Immediately, they drew my blood, and after a few hours, I went to the pediatric floor and then to the intensive care unit. They found out I had a MRSA infection. It had spread to my lungs, femur, heel, and a foot-long blood clot in my leg. MRSA is a special strand of staph. Staph is a bacteria that lives on 30% of people's skin. While MRSA is much less common, it is becoming more and more dangerously common.
Staph infections in general, we see a lot of them. Most of them you really need to drain the infection or drain the pus. On rare occasions sometimes they actually go past the skin into the bloodstream, and they can travel through the bloodstream and land in different parts of the body. Sometimes it's the bones, sometimes it's the joints, sometimes it can be in the heart as well. And so depending on where the staph is, it determines how we treat the staph infection. For infections that are in the bones, joints, or in the heart, we actually have to treat with medicines through an IV, and that usually means you have to stay in the hospital.
The amount of MRSA infections obtained outside of the hospital have more than doubled in the past 10 years. While staph on someone's skin is harmless, once it gets past the skin, it becomes dangerous.
Sometimes it gets past our skin from a scratch or a scrape or a nick in the skin. Sometimes you get past the skin if you bite your fingernails a little too close to the cuticle and then get a little bleeding there. Or if you like to pick and rip your toenails off, then you can actually get a little hangnail down there that can also introduce the staph under your skin.
My stay went from overnight to 10 weeks. To keep the pain at bay, they had me on a very powerful drug, morphine. Morphine is a drug made from opium, much like that of heroin and Dilaudid. It is very dangerous and extremely addictive. In between the doses, I would have moments of pain, of grogginess, and of clarity. I was put on multiple antibiotics as they searched for new spots of infection. On Sunday, a piece of my blood clot traveled through my veins and went into my lungs. This caused my lungs to temporarily shut down. I was having a pulmonary embolism. In order to keep my blood clot under control, I had to have 2 shots of Levinox a day. Most of the time, I administered these to myself. My symptoms were not being able to move my left leg, pain in my heel, coughing, and a fever. Most of the day, I could barely keep my eyes open. This was due to the power of morphine and also because of the endeavor my body was going through. As my condition worsened, I underwent many tests. My hip had become so infected that if action was not taken, there was a chance that I would never walk again. I was rushed into surgery and remembered nothing. Afterwards, I was left with a large wound where the incision happened. Unfortunately, due to me being on blood thinners, the area inside the cut continued to bleed, forming a hematoma. 5 days later, I would have to have another surgery. My readings slowly went back to normal, and I was moved to my final room called my corner office. As they prepared to have me depart, they changed my IVs for a PICC line, which travels from my arm into my heart. These PICC lines can stay in the body up to a year, unlike an IV, which should be changed every couple of weeks. After 16 days, I was finally able to leave the hospital. I came home to my family greeting me. Throughout my struggle, I was amazed and overwhelmed by the outpouring of kindness. People we hadn't seen in 5 years came to see me. It also gave me a chance to understand how people feel when they can't move, as I couldn't move for a week, and as diabetics feel when they have to give themselves shots, as I had to do the same thing. Even though I am fine now, there was a chance that I could have died. Slowly, I started the long journey back to where I had come, every day being able to walk more and more. After the hospital, it took a long time to even get to the point that I could go to school, but nevertheless, I made the journey.